Yo guys, I hope you're well. So Starmer just said that he was prepared to do anything and do whatever it takes to ensure that the Ukraine defeats Russia. I'm beginning to think that both Starmer and Biden are prepared to do anything to drag the UK into a war with Russia and are actually quite keen to do so. Biden because he wants to hamstrung President Trump before he gets into office, and therefore he has now only just and deliberately and belatedly signed off on deploying US long-range missiles to be targeted against Russia. And Starmer, who's turned into that lapdog that zealot Tony Blair turned into over Iraq, by committing to do anything and everything possible, including dragging the citizens of the United Kingdom into a full-fledged war that none of us wants. He is also using this war as a smokescreen to claw back taxpayers' money from us great British people without any kind of audit or discussion. Just how much of our money is he prepared to give to the Ukraine? What are other European countries contributing? Why is Britain always bearing the greatest burden? We've had enough of this smokescreen politics. Enough is enough. We are not a bottomless pit to be plundered again and again and again. Yes, I have sympathies for the Ukraine, but not to the point where Great Britain is going to be dragged into a war that none of us want. Let's see what Starmer was saying at the G20 recently, and let's see if we can make any sense of it all.
I'm at the G20 with one message, which is that we must double down on our support for Ukraine. Tomorrow is day 1,000 of the conflict. That's 1,000 days of aggression from Russia and 1,000 days of sacrifice from Ukraine. So that is my clear message here. It's number one on my agenda. Obviously, I'm not going to get into operational details because the only winner, if we were to do that, is Putin, and I'm not prepared to do that.
So he's not prepared to go into operational details, which is fair and above board. But what we want as the citizens of the United Kingdom is to find out what's going on. Where's all our money going to? We are being absolutely hammered on our energy. Hammered. And then Starmer is committing more and more and more and more money. We're not a bottomless pit. So that's a question that we're going to see and we want to be asked and raised. Because Starmer's saying that he'll do anything and everything to ensure that the Ukraine wins this. So how much of our money is he prepared to give away? Really?
Can you at least in principle say whether you'd like them to be green-lighted? Because I think you would.
I'm not going to get into operational details because Putin is the only winner in that situation. But I've been really clear for a long time now. We need to double down. We need to make sure Ukraine has what is necessary for as long as necessary because we cannot allow Putin to win this war.
So he's now said that they need the Ukraine to have whatever is necessary to win the war or to ensure that Russia doesn't win the war. But by now Biden committing these US long-range missiles to be fired from our territories into the Russia, it opens up a whole new ball game, and it really opens the UK up into being now someone who will be targeted by Russia. We're going to get dragged into this war by hook or by crook, and I think Starmer wants us to go into this war, but I don't understand the reason why. This is just my viewpoint. I think Starmer is literally dragging us into this war by hook or by crook, and I really don't understand why.
Okay, well, let me quickly ask you about Russia. Have you spoken to Lavrov? President Putin's spokesperson has said the missile decision was adding fuel to the fire.
The missile decision is adding fuel to the fire. We are being dragged into this war. We are being dragged into this war.
Trump allies say the Biden missile decision could trigger World War III. How do you respond to that?
I haven't spoken to Russia and I've got no plans to do so.
How do you respond to the risk of the escalation triggering World War III?
We have to support Ukraine in this. This is about the sovereignty of Ukraine, but it's also about our own freedoms.
He's talking about freedoms when he's taking away our freedoms of speech and freedoms of other areas. Really?
And that's why for 1,000 days we've stood with Ukraine and will continue to do so.
He's literally leading us to the brink of war.
My number one issue here at the G20 is to make sure that we absolutely double down on support for Ukraine for as long as it takes. This morning.
So, guys, I don't know, maybe I've got this twisted, but we're moving to another stage now. We've had 1,000 days war between the Ukraine and Russia. Whichever side of the fence you sit on that is entirely up to you. But my opinion on this now is we move to a more dangerous stage here for the UK and the citizens in the UK, because for whatever reason, Biden stalled and did not commit to allowing these long-range US missiles to be targeted at Russia. But now Biden, think about it, Biden only has a few more weeks before he exits stage left as the President of the United States. What Biden's doing is he's hamstrung in President Trump, who's coming in. He'll be an incumbent by early January. And then Trump will have to deal with this mess. This mess is going to be a whole lot bigger by the time Trump comes in and takes office as the President of the United States. He will be taking office to a whole new ball game and a whole major, larger mess that this is going to be. Well, I'm just thinking that we're going to be dragged into this mess. So this is my viewpoint on it. I might be wrong, and I really hope I'm wrong, because by literally ramping up the volume, Biden has done something which is going to, I always say cause and effect. If Biden really wanted to do this, he would have done this 6 months ago, whilst he was at the helm of the presidency. But now, as he's stepping out of office, he's more or less got only 1 foot back in office. He's now starting up a whole new mess for Trump to deal with. And then the UK will be dragged into that mess. I'm not happy about this one little bit. Not happy one little bit. Anyway, so Starmer, it's about calling. Anyway, Starmer has been talking about this, and he has been 100% behind doing anything and everything for the Ukraine. But at some point, it's going to cripple the UK economy. Is this what he wants? And on the back of this, I think we're next going to start to talk about the farmers. The farmers are in London, Whitehall right now. And I think that each and every one of us should get behind the farmers and support them 100%. Because if things go left with Russia and Ukraine and we get dragged into this, then we will need the farmers even more. We'll need to be self-sufficient because, well, we could be, as we are not landlocked, we can be really hamstrung ourselves. So if we don't make certain that we're self-sufficient with the food and we don't treat our farmers with respect and the due diligence and the due care that they deserve, we're going to find ourselves in a whole heap of mess. So anyway, so let's hear what Starmer's got to say about the farmers. And I'm 100% behind the farmers. I'm 100% behind them keeping the land as it is and not the government doing a land grab and making the farmers' job to feed us even more difficult. So let's hear what Starmer's got to say.
It has announced that 20,000 farmers are reportedly descending on London in protest of your budget decisions. You say you're supporting farmers. Why don't they believe you?
We don't believe you. No one believes him.
We are supporting farmers, and I want to support farmers, and that is why we put £5 billion in the budget over the next 2 years.
So he says that they are supporting farmers and they're going to be putting £5 billion into the budget over the next 2 years. But every time I look at Starmer, I keep thinking of Pinocchio. I keep thinking this nose is going to grow. It's going to grow well past where the G20 sign is. So 5 billion in the next 2 years? Let's see.
Into farming. That's the single biggest sum of money that's ever been put in, alongside money to do with flooding and to do with the outbreak of disease.
See, but the thing is, it's not about your investment of money into the farms and to farmers. If you are going to commandeer and take away land from the farmers, they're not going to be able to farm the land and produce the food and the livestock and the food stock and the feed stock that we need to feed this nation. If you think that you can take away 40-50% of the farmland and still maintain the produce that's coming out to feed this nation, then I think you've got another thing coming. See, the thing is, it's not just about you putting 5 billion into the farming industry. It's about what you're taking away from them. So if you're taking away the area, because remember, a lot of this is at scale. If you take away that land, where and how are they going to produce the scale that is needed to feed this country? That's my question. And if you are also, it's almost like a stealth tax. So, for instance, the inheritance tax, you're taking away 20% of farms that are over 1 million in value. So if you think about it, and so the farmers can't actually afford to get this 200,000 or however many hundreds of thousands of pounds it is to pay for that inheritance tax. So what happens? They have to sell up. And once you sell off the land, you'll never get that back. That's what I'm thinking.
It can be terrible for farmers. On the question of inheritance tax, look, I do understand that it's causing concern, but if you take a typical case of a couple wanting to pass a family farm down to one of their children, which would be a very typical example, with all of the thresholds in place, that's £3 million before any inheritance tax is paid. And that's why I'm confident that the vast majority of farms and farmers will not be affected at all by that aspect of the budget.
So he says the vast majority of farmers and farmland, etc., will not be affected by this aspect of the budget. But just listening to Jeremy Clarkson just earlier today, and I just got back from a meeting, Jeremy Clarkson asked all the farmers, I think he's been interviewed on the BBC, and the BBC tried to twist his words as per normal. But what Clarkson then asked them, who won't be affected? Not a murmur. So everyone is going to be affected to some degree, some more than others. So it'll be interesting for Starmer to potentially, I suggest he has a word with people like Clarkson, has a word with some of the farmers, and actually has a word to the boots on the ground. And let's just to listen to what they think is going to affect them from this change in from the budget. It'd be interesting to hear from the boots on the ground. Maybe that's what Starmer and his cohort should have done already. Maybe.
They will be affected by the £5 billion that we're putting into farming, and I'm very happy to work with farmers on that.
Guys, it seems that whichever way you look, whichever angle, up, down, left, right, even Chelsea, there's problems afoot. And they're not going away. Starmer, at home, abroad, as far as I can see, there just seems to be chaos that follows this person. Chaos. And when you look at this guy as a potential, as a leader, and not just a leader of our country, but a statesman across the world, I wonder what other people really think of Starmer. Or, as I said before the other day, is he just giving us an act? Is he an actor? Is he giving us an act to our faces like he's this bumbling buffoon? But behind closed doors, he's this ruthless assassin. Should we call assassin? I don't know. But it just doesn't add up. That the person you see in front of you talking on these sound clips and the person who's meant to be leading our nation, they don't seem to add up. That's my opinion. Let me know down here in the comment section. But these are dangerous times afoot, guys. So we have the issue which is going to grow between the Ukraine and Russia, and President Biden now releasing or giving his tick for the US missiles to be used at long range, etc., into Russian territory. And then you have Keir Starmer, two-tier Keir, talking about the farmers, saying they've never had it so good. We've thrown 5 million or 5 billion, I don't know what amount he said, probably said 5 billion into the farmers. But, well, from the farmer's perspective, it doesn't look good. And we already had a farmer a couple of days back commit suicide because that farmer said they couldn't make head nor tail if this was going to be implemented. So we've already had at least one casualty. So this isn't good. This isn't good. Starmer needs to sit down with the farmers and to literally listen to what they're saying to him, and he needs to make these adjustments as soon as possible. Anyway, guys, let me know down here in the comments section, what are your viewpoints? Do you support the farmers? They're right now out there protesting at Whitehall, and they're fighting for their very livelihoods and for their future, and for the future not just of themselves but of their children and their children's children. Let me know down here in the comment section, guys. And yeah, it doesn't look good. It does not look good. Anyway, guys, make certain you look after yourselves, you look after each other, and please come back to the next Urban Bars reaction, guys. I'm out.